Hamadakiapi, Kirsten Makiapi, Sisseton Wahpeton. Hello, my name is Kirsten, and I am here today to talk to you about the 7 generations. Now, when I think about the 7 generations, I'm not only thinking about like myself and 7 generations forward, I'm also thinking about myself and 7 generations back. So if we think about that, my generation plus 7 forward and 7 back, that's 15 generations. That's a lot of generations. So what I think about is when I'm healing and when I'm intentionally working on processing my trauma and my grief, I am not only healing myself, but I'm healing 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. I'm healing myself, I'm healing my parents, I'm healing my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and so on. I'm also healing my future children and grandchildren and so on, right? Now, one example I have on how I've worked on healing myself in 7 generations is by being intentional about when I have children. My greatest desire in life is to become a mother, but I knew if I had children right away before I was ready to have those children, it was very likely that I would pass on the same traumas that I experienced onto my children. And I didn't want that. I saw how the abuse and the trauma that I experienced, my mother experienced, and my grandmother experienced, and so on. And a lot of that trauma came from boarding schools and from forced assimilation, from historical trauma, from intergenerational trauma, right? And I knew if I was intentional about healing that trauma, it was far less likely that I would pass it on to my children and my grandchildren and so on. And so I went to therapy. I did EMDR therapy, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This is a trauma therapy that helps individuals to reprocess traumatic events they had in their life, but more specifically in their childhood. And by doing this, I believe that my children will have a less likelihood of experiencing those same events. And it was hard, don't get me wrong. It took a lot of dedication. To this day, healing doesn't just stop, oh, one day I'm healed, that's it. It's a lifelong journey. It's not a destination, right? I will be healing for the rest of my life. And that doesn't mean my children won't experience something traumatic, but the likelihood of it happening is far less likely. So by working on myself today and healing from intergenerational and historical trauma and lived trauma, I'm not only having an impact on myself, but 7 generations going forward and 7 generations going back. So I invite you to think about, how are you having an impact on the 7 generations? That's all. Thank you.